Hello, everybody, and welcome to Chat from a Hat. I'm your host, Josh Brown, along with my co-host,
Caleb Luther.
Caleb. How are you?
Pretty good. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing all right. I can't complain. Wouldn't do me any good anyway.
Actually, I am going to complain a little bit. I
Oh,
woke up
God.
very groggy for some reason.
Why did you wake up
I don't know.
groggy?
You know when you wake up 45 minutes before your alarm goes off?
Oh, I know. Trust
And
me.
then it's just kind of like ruins your day. You lay in bed for like that 45 minutes and
Yep.
it's hard to get going.
And you toss and you turn and you
But
can't get up.
I eventually got going. Drank a lot of water. Went home after work and drank some, as we all know is the greatest tea of all time, the Positive Energy tea.
Ooh.
From Yogi.
What is that flavored like?
It's sweet tangerine.
Ooh, I bet that is good.
It is good. It is very good. Yeah. You only need one bag for that.
One bag?
You put in two. It's just too much caffeine for me.
You have to bring me some of that.
It's one of the better tasting teas I think that's out there. It's good, and I think it lives up to its name. I feel good after drinking that tea. There's some tea that has caffeine in it that I just feel not great. Mm-hmm. I just feel like I am bouncing off the walls. But that one, it has the proper amount of caffeine and the taste is really good. You don't have to put honey in it or anything. It's just
cool.
It's naturally kind of sweet.
That sounds like something I'd be interested in, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, Caleb, we got into some fun this week. We got into some fun. We went and watched Cocaine Bear.
Some fun stuff.
If you haven't watched Cocaine Bear, you should go watch it. It's pretty fun. It's a pretty funny movie too. I mean,
it was fun. It is pretty funny. I would say.
Yeah.
What have we seen? We've seen like 4 or 5 movies this year. Mm-hmm. Definitely the funniest.
Oh, definitely.
It's funny because
I don't know. Do you want to count Megan as funny? Because
a little bit. Well, it's funny because if I'm not mistaken, the same studio put out Megan and Cocaine Bear, which are both kind of like meme movies that are both pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think they might have done what was the Santa Claus movie?
Violent Night.
Violent Night. I think they did Violent Night too.
Did they?
I think so.
Okay.
I think it's Universal. Universal did all these, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so. Yeah.
So like they're on
a roll right now.
They're getting on a stride here of just these bizarre little movies that are doing very good in the box office.
Yeah.
Cocaine Bear was fun.
Cocaine Bear came in at number 2 in the box office this week, I think, behind Ant-Man.
By default, Ant-Man had a huge drop.
Yeah. Ant-Man had like a 69% drop or something like that.
The biggest second-week drop of any MCU movie, which is understandable.
I wonder why.
Because it is the worst MCU movie. I will fight whoever about that. I don't care. Just kidding. You can like it if you want. I did think it was the worst MCU movie though, and you know what? If this kicks them into gear of making better movies, so be it.
It won't.
Make
but that's
better
okay.
movies, guys.
It won't. Caleb, anything else about Cocaine Bear? Did you have fun with Cocaine Bear?
I did have fun. I thought that I don't think it reached the heights that it could have reached to become like a classic.
Sure.
And I feel that same way about Violent Night and and Megan. But I like this a little more than Megan because it wasn't afraid to go to that R rating territory, and I thought it
had to.
It really had to. I thought that it reached its peak around the middle, but it's a good peak though. Yeah, with that ambulance sequence is really good. But the rest of it's fine too. There's even some cute stuff, and maybe even Cocaine Bear becomes a little bit of an anti-hero at one point. And you're kind of rooting for old Cocaine Bear at one point.
You kind of are.
A little bit. Depending, maybe there's somebody worse than Cocaine Bear.
Depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
Well, Caleb, today I got a little excited myself. KISS announced the final 50 dates of, well, not 50 dates, but the final dates of the End of the Road tour. 4 of those dates are going to be close to me, so I guess Nancy and I are going to try to go, because I've never seen them, and I want to see them before they call it quits again.
But say, how many End of the Road tours have they had?
They've technically done 2 farewell tours, but the first one was technically a farewell of all the original members, so this is still like the, that we could talk about a whole podcast episode dedicated to that, but
I don't know anything about. I don't know anything about KISS.
Well, it's pretty much that. It's Paul and Gene wanted to continue playing music, and so they did. So that's pretty much what it was. So yeah, the final dates, most of them are in Canada, which is weird. But they are actually hitting like Indianapolis and Knoxville, and where was the other 2 that was close? Baltimore and Chicago. That was the other one. So one of those 4 I'm going to, if it come hell or high water. But hopefully Knoxville or Indianapolis because they're the closest.
So how many original members are in?
2.
2. So 2. So it's
Gene and Paul.
Paul. Which one's Paul?
Paul's the star child.
Star
The guy that
Child.
has the star on his
Okay, Star
face.
Child.
Yeah.
Yeah. He. So, did you see the video of him?
Oh God.
Walking?
Which
No,
one?
it's not. No, it's
Which one?
actually pretty nice. He was walking to an area. It looked like a mall. I'm sure it's not.
Yeah.
And everybody's there just to see him. And he's walking through. He's like, "Hey, what's going on, everybody? Why is everybody doing this?"
Yeah.
He was kind of like a joke. He was joking.
Yeah.
That was
Well,
nice.
see, actually, I know the video you're talking about. A lot of people were giving him flack for that. He was actually so he was actually walking to his art gallery show that he was going to.
Okay.
And they had it in this little. They had it in like this little side piece of a mall, and that's what he was walking to.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "Oh, Paul's so pretentious. He's got to have security around him when he walks through the mall and stuff like that." I'm like, that's not what that was. Because if you check dates, it's literally.
I thought he was just walking through and then made a quick little cute joke.
If it's the video that I think you're talking about,
It's kind of funny. It was.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
a lot of people, it's Kiss fans are either there's middle ground, and you're either you don't BS the band's stupid crap, but you still like the music and stuff. I'm that middle ground, but there are some people that are just either radically hate them or worship their feet, and it's crazy. Again, that's a whole other episode. It could be an episode within itself.
Just like Cocaine Bear.
Exactly. Radically cocaine-induced bears.
Either you love Cocaine Bear's music or you don't.
I'll tell you one person who didn't like it was the park ranger. The park ranger was not having Cocaine Bear.
Talk about Margot Martindale.
Yes.
She was great. Margot Martindale was actually my favorite thing about the movie.
It was me too.
I thought she
It was
had
me
the
too.
funniest lines. Because I just kept remembering that she was Dewey Cox's mom. And she was hilarious in that movie. She was hilarious in this movie.
She was. So Caleb, you've been mixing some songs. You've got some new music coming out soon, don't you?
Between now and 2030.
I mean, as long as you're getting it.
The
man.
mixing process is just awful, and I think even the most awful it's been is with this new song I've been mixing, because there's just so many pieces to so many I don't know, just so many things that I try to make it epic in under 3 minutes. but yeah, here
Lots
I am.
of layers.
Here I am 28 mixes later. 20 I've had the 28th mix for a week now, and I haven't felt like changing it. So I'm like, this might be the one.
So
sometime I'll put it out sometime. It's not gonna be a big deal. It's just gonna be a single. Not gonna be a part of an album.
Are you doing a Brian thing where it's one more mix?
Yeah,
One more
the
mix.
mix is
The mix is almost
done.
ready. One more mix.
It'll get there. I may separate myself from it from a little bit. I don't know. Mixing music is ridiculous. Then you get into the mastering process, which I pay for a mastering sort of program. And when you get into the mastering program, you can master it different ways. It's not just like you hit a button. Like you can change the EQ, the compression, and whatever. So there's 20 to 30 different ways you can do that. So that's why I've landed at 28 mixes.
Why don't you have somebody else listen to it?
I will eventually. I will, whenever I'll do that when I feel really good about this mix. Then I will. I will let a handful of people listen to it.
You have a person that you
I know.
bounce that off of.
I know. I know. I just want it to be
Casey Shingleton.
I just want it to be really good before I decide to do that. Right now,
Right.
I'm feeling like it's really good. So
Well, Caleb,
we'll see 6 years from now when I put it out.
when you remix.
It's almost
when
done.
you remix Lucid Dreams again. Well, Caleb, usually we talk a lot about what we did in the past episode, but honestly, we have a lot to discuss this week. We did start the animated March Madness tournament. How is that going?
Started
Day
today.
one.
Started today at about 3 p.m. First match is still up. It was start off with a strong one with Coraline and a Goofy movie.
Which the Goofy movie's winning right now, and I'm shocked by that.
Yeah, by the time this episode airs, we'd probably put up 10 more matches.
Yeah.
But that is the match that started it all.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good one.
Yeah.
And this next match is going to be good too. Yet again, this match will be long gone by the time this episode airs. But Aladdin versus Mulan is going to be a head scratcher for them. People's not going to know what to do.
What do I do?
I feel like we purposely did that.
Oh, we did. We can.
Sometimes you gotta put matchups that are this looks more like a second round matchup.
Yep.
But to get the tournament going, to get people invested sometimes.
Yeah. So make sure you vote on those. It's something really fun we're doing. Thank you for making your brackets. The people that did, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Caleb, let's talk Pixar.
Yeah, it's funny that the tournament started today, and it just happens that our topic is Pixar.
Yep.
And like you said, we got a lot of ground to cover because Pixar has been putting out movies since '95.
Yeah.
And they put out a lot, and
Almost at the 30th anniversary, which is
a couple more
crazy.
years.
Crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
We've literally grew up with Pixar, so we're gonna have a little bit of a bias here with some of this stuff.
With some of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So like I said, first movie Pixar ever put out was '95.
Right.
We know what that movie was.
Toy Story.
A Bug's Life.
Oh well.
It was Toy Story.
Well,
Toy Story came out in '95. I'm pretty sure we all loved. We were 5 years old when that movie came out, and we talked about it in past episodes, like the toy episode,
the toys,
and how much we loved it. But I'm not necessarily here to talk about Toy Story, even though I do think it is the greatest film franchise in history. I'm just looking at the track record. They have made like 10 out of 10 movies essentially for me. But this is the one that started it all. At the Oscars at the time, they didn't have the best animated feature award, but it still won an Oscar that year. It won an Oscar that they don't give out that often. When they give out, this is actually the last feature length film that has won this award, and it is a special achievement winner that the Oscars give out, and it was also given out to the first 3 Star Wars movies in the 70s and the 80s. And they were given that special achievement for their visual effects, and they gave it to Toy Story for being the first feature-length computer animated movie. It legitimately is a groundbreaking movie.
Yeah.
It's the first of its kind, and I don't know if you've revisited it or if any of you all listening have revisited it, but it holds up.
Oh, it does.
It is still
It does.
It is still a 10. It is a 10 out of 10 movie.
Yeah.
It's so simple. It's like 85 minutes. The script is so tight.
Yeah.
Everything's just incredibly tight about it. But aside from that, at the Oscars, it was also nominated for Best Original Screenplay, if you can believe that or not.
Really?
Pixar, Best Original Screenplay, nominated for Best Score and Best Song for You've Got a Friend in Me. Didn't
Very
win.
cool.
Didn't win any of those, but what can you do?
I mean, You've Got a Friend in Me is still...
It should. I don't know what won that year, but it should have been You Got a Friend in Me.
Well,
actually, it might have been like Colors of the Wind from Pinocchio.
Not from Pinocchio?
But from Pocahontas.
in 95?
Pocahontas came out in 95.
Oh, well.
It might have won that year, but You Got a Friend in Me is superior.
And what was the category again? Best original
song. Yeah, look that up real quick.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken, Colors of the Wind
1995, right?
Colors of the Wind is really good.
Actually, it was Can You Feel the Love Tonight from The Lion King.
Wait a minute. No, okay, 96. It would have been the 96 awards.
96 awards.
Yeah, because Lion King came out in 94.
It would be Colors of the Wind.
That's what I thought. So, Pixar just wasn't established, even though it was still part of Disney. They still had that Disney bias.
But you know what? But I would say that You've Got a Friend in Me is a more iconic song than Colors of the Wind.
It's not even close, Josh. Listen, whenever that song pops up at the beginning of every Toy Story movie, and all those movies make $1 billion, and people remember it. Yeah. Colors of the Wind is good. It's
good. No,
it is my favorite. It is
song.
my favorite thing about Pocahontas because I don't really like Pocahontas that much. I think it's one of the weaker Disney movies, especially right after The Lion King.
Yeah.
But Toy Story is one of, I don't want to say the handful because there's probably quite a few movies on Rotten Tomatoes, but it's one of the movies that has a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
And deservedly so.
Deservingly so.
Yes.
A great movie. Started something special here with Pixar.
Hit the ground running for them.
It's a top 4 movie for me.
Sure.
And I have Toy Story tattoos.
That's true. That is true. And,
so
you're wearing a Toy Story
I am
sweatshirt
for Pixar.
Right now,
the only Pixar shirts I have this Toy Story one. I have a few Toy Story shirts.
Yeah.
I got a Monsters Inc. one, and I got a Bing Bong from Inside Out.
Bing Bong.
Yeah, so
which we'll talk about later. Don't worry about that.
Both of those
we'll
will
get
show
there.
up eventually.
We'll get there.
So the next Pixar movie is actually 3 years later, in '98. So it took 3 years to.
And that's A Bug's Life.
A Bug's Life is the next one.
Okay.
I like A Bug's Life.
I'm just guessing these.
Have you seen A Bug's Life?
I have not seen A Bug's Life.
It's good. For that era of Toy Story, it's not as nearly as good as the other ones, though. It's just nowhere close to Toy Story or the movie or the next one or the next movie or the next movie or the next movie. But it is solid. I would say it's better than some of the later Pixar movies.
Sure,
it's very funny. It's lacking that emotional edge to it that you see in the Toy Story movies.
It's more of a fun movie compared to the...
It's a fun movie. It's a funny movie. It's got Kevin Spacey voices the villain.
I was going to say, I thought Kevin Spacey was in that, but
yeah,
I
he
wasn't
plays
sure.
a grasshopper.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I don't necessarily remember the cat. But I do think the movie's funny.
Sure.
And the animation's good. It probably technically looks a little better than Toy Story because it's a little bit later.
Yeah.
But
With
yeah,
technology ever changing too. So
it's a good movie. I know a
Yeah.
lot of people really like view this movie quite fondly, but
It's nostalgia
It's just not one.
glasses.
It's just not one of my favorites. You know, it came out when I was in third, fourth grade. Whatever. But the next one that was released a year later in '99, which is considered like one of the greatest years in cinema.
Toy Story 2.
Toy Story 2 came out in '99. Another 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yep.
So both first two Toy Story movies both have 100%, which is remarkable. Obviously, there wasn't as many reviews coming out then. I'm sure now a Toy Story 2 or Toy Story come out and you'd get to the 500th review and someone would be like, no, I didn't like it. I'm going to give it a 2.9 out of 5. That's what they
Mixed.
do. It's mixed. It was, I don't like Jessie.
So, correct me if I'm wrong. Toy Story 2 was originally supposed to be direct to DVD, wasn't it?
Yes, it was originally planned as a direct-to-video release, but they decided that it was just too good. It was too good. And you know what? They got a point. It is very good. In some ways, I'm not going to say it's better than the first one because I don't think it is. But I think the emotion is stronger in this one, especially when you get to Jessie's backstory. That "When She Loved Me" song, which was written by Randy Newman, sung by Sarah McLachlan, also did not win. Did not win best. Best song.
If you ever want to just ball up into a heap and cry, just listen to Sarah McLachlan. That's all you got to do.
There's
all you gotta do.
There's a lot of funny history behind Toy Story 2. Aside from it originally planned as a direct-to-video release, then ultimately coming like a box office hit, movie was accidentally deleted. Movie almost didn't happen.
Wait, what now?
Movie was accidentally deleted, Josh. It was accidentally deleted from the computers they were using. Movie was deleted, gone.
How do you do that?
It was the times. It was the. You gotta remember.
Oh no! I tried to take away the single,
At the
deleted
time,
everything.
I'm not sure what else was around. Maybe Ants was one of the only other computer animated movies other than these three Pixar movies. But luckily, an employee that was on maternity leave had the movie saved. And saved the movie.
Oh my god!
And it was like,
that's horrifying.
She brought the movie in on like her hard drive. I was like, I got the movie. It was as I was reading some of the details about it. It seemed horrifying. It seemed like Thanos snapping his finger because they said like characters just started disappearing. It was gradually happening. There was nothing that they could do about it. But
so it's like systems were getting wiped and stuff.
Luckily, this employee had it saved.
Wow,
I don't
that's
know.
insane.
Like, would they have started over? It would have came out way later.
I don't know.
And it wouldn't have been. Luckily, they saved it. And yet again, a nearly, if not perfect, movie.
Sure.
So
sure.
With a lot of weird history with that one. Didn't come out with another one for 2 years. 2001, A Space Odyssey.
Let's see. What was 2001?
2001 is Monsters Inc.
Oh, okay.
Have you seen Monsters Inc.?
I probably saw it when I was a kid, but I don't really. I know the concept.
Yeah,
and
so they gotta like
everything.
scare the kids.
And then
to produce power for.
One of the kids is not scared.
It's not scared, becomes friends with the kitty.
Yeah.
With,
so
Sully.
But yeah, that's I know the story, and if I did watch it, that was 20 years ago, 25 years ago.
This movie came out when we were 11.
Yeah.
So at this point,
so it'd been 22 years ago.
At this point in my life, I had pushed a little bit past watching movies like this. I was like, I am on to Adam Sandler movies. Thank you very much. But I had a little sister born in 2002 who eventually became obsessed with this movie around maybe 2003, 2004. So that's when I watched it a lot. And I was like, this movie is incredible. It is so good. It was the first year for Best Animated Feature at the Oscars.
It lost?
It lost to Shrek.
Yeah, I was going to say, it lost to Shrek.
And you know what? Maybe an unpopular opinion, I prefer this over Shrek. I just think emotionally, dude, this movie has some...
Hot take by Caleb.
This movie is an emotional juggernaut. My gosh. There are some scenes... Yet again, thanks to an amazing Randy Newman score. At this point, Randy Newman had done every score for Pixar.
That's okay.
Every single one of them. And you know what? They're all great.
I mean, Hans Zimmer does every single Christopher Nolan movie, so I mean,
why
can't Randy Newman do all the Pixar movies?
While it did lose Best Animated Feature at the Oscars, it did win an Oscar. It won for Best Original Song, also written by Randy Newman.
Of course.
A song that plays at the end of the movie during the credits. But a lot of people probably don't remember. John Goodman sings it. It's called If I Didn't Have You. It is good. But it is no, I've got a friend. You've got a friend of me.
John
Goodman. Hey, John Goodman kills it in this role as Sully. really like this movie. It's probably a top 10 Pixar movie for me. A lot of people love this one.
Yeah.
It's very well beloved. Next movie, 2 years later.
Cars.
No.
Oh.
No, Cars is
Cars is way back. Okay.
Not
Or
way back, but
I mean,
it's,
like
it's a couple.
Way forward.
2003. We got. I don't know if you've seen this one. So
Brave?
you've seen the sequel to this one though. Finding Nemo.
Oh, okay.
Have you still not seen Finding Nemo?
I don't think so. I don't think I have.
Yet again.
I know, man.
It's
Sorry.
great.
Sorry.
It's great. I don't know what's better between that and Monster Inc. It's tough.
I don't know. I don't know why I haven't seen it. Honestly, I don't know why there's a lot of these Pixar movies I haven't seen.
Yeah, it's crazy. You need
Well,
to
the
get
thing of
on
it is, they're actually. I've seen more than I've
You've
not
seen quite a few.
Yeah, I've seen more than I
yeah,
haven't.
Yeah.
But a lot of these classics that people are all about, I just haven't. I haven't took the time to sit down and watch them.
Finding Nemo is a great movie. Yet again, borderline perfect movie.
Yeah.
At this point, we got, 1, 2, 3, 4 nearly perfect movies and A Bug's Life.
Which is nearly perfect.
No, it's not. But
nearly
it
perfect.
is good, though. It is good.
It's so good.
For
I've
just-
never seen it, but it's so good.
If you're just judging it by animated movie standards, it is quite good. But for Pixar standards, it's just not. It's
not there.
Not be top 15 at best.
It's a C.
But Finding Nemo gets a little bit of redemption
It's a C-ish.
because Finding Nemo did win the best animated feature at the Oscars, and it was the first of many wins. So really like that one. It has a sequel that we'll talk about a little bit later. Next year, 2004, The Incredibles. I watched this one in theaters. Yeah, the old theater in Chapmanville that had the 2 theaters.
Don't even ask if I've seen it.
Yeah, I know you haven't seen
I
The
know.
Incredibles. Yeah, but did win best.
I didn't really start getting into superhero-esque stuff until real late in my life.
You could have made an argument that at the time that The Incredibles came out, that it was the best superhero movie of all time. I think the only thing else you had to go by was Spider-Man 2, maybe.
Yeah, and the Batman movies.
It's better.
I'm just saying.
These are better than those now. Batman hadn't reached its peak yet
Yeah.
as a superhero, but The Incredibles is very good. I don't love it as much as everybody else, but I do think it is. It was probably like the most mature Pixar movie. Like it's got that PG rating, and like I'm pretty sure there's some language in it.
Yeah.
Like it's still catered towards kids, but maybe not little kids. It also won Best Animated Feature, and it won Best Sound Editing, which is
Cool.
almost unheard of in a animated movie. But
Yeah.
just got that superhero magic to it, and I think the superhero genre was really starting to come alive there in the early 2000s. But you had to scrape through a lot of garbage.
Yeah, like Fantastic Four.
We had a lot. We had Catwoman,
and Silver Surfer,
Electra, Daredevil.
Daredevil.
There was a lot of bad stuff.
God, man,
Like, thank
there's-
God. Honestly, I know some people.
We could just talk about movies of the superhero movies of the early 2000s.
Some people don't view them fondly, but thank God for those Spider-Man movies.
Spider-Man 1 and 2. Everything else is garbage.
Spider-Man 3 is way better than some of these movies we're talking about, though. Like, it's way better than, like...
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah.
the Fantastic Four
Yeah.
movies. It's definitely the worst of those 3 Spider-Man
Yeah.
movies. It's got a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Now we're getting into Cars. 2 years later, 2006.
Now, I have seen the first Cars.
I don't remember much about this
Yeah.
movie.
I don't remember much
I've
about it either, but I
watched it.
have seen it.
From my understanding, it's just not viewed as a top tier Pixar movie.
Yeah.
It didn't win Best Animated Feature. I don't know what would have in 2000. I don't remember what came out in 2006. If you want to look that up,
I
so
will.
it would have been the 2007 Oscars, but Cars did not win. But apparently, it's popular.
Did you say 2006?
It would have been the 2007 Oscars though,
Okay.
because
Oscars.
yeah, okay.
Go ahead. You continue.
Oh, I don't have any. I don't.
Oh my God.
Oh gosh, what
Oh
was it? Was it
God.
a bad
It
time?
was Happy Feet.
Oh, I've never seen Happy Feet.
Really?
No.
You haven't?
Directed by George Miller.
Yeah.
Never
Happy
seen
Feet's
it.
actually pretty good.
I haven't
It's
seen
not
Happy
bad.
Feet or Happy Feet 2.
It's not bad. It's not.
I heard it
bad.
was good. Robin Williams does a voice in that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard it was good. Is that a musical? I don't know.
Kind of.
They dance, right? I don't know. I don't know much about it. I remember Surf's Up came
Wow.
out.
Okay. So there were only 3 movies nominated in
That's how-
2006.
That's how it was for a long
Yeah.
time. For a
And
long
that
time,
was-
it was just 3 movies.
That was Happy Feet, Cars, and Monster House.
Ooh, Monster House didn't win.
Monster House-
is... Listen, I haven't seen Happy Feet, but Monster House is better. Monster House is good.
But when we get to when we get to 2007, we're going to
Oh
be
yeah,
scraping through some.
keep that up. Keep that up because while I have like the winners here, I'd like to see like what it was up against.
Okay,
and stuff.
sure.
But
Sure, do
yeah,
that.
Cars must be popular. Had two sequels.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah.
good for Cars making that dough. I guess because I just don't remember it.
Yeah.
I don't. I did not revisit it. Didn't care enough to. It's just it's my thoughts. That's how I feel. But 2007 is a movie that I'd seen such a long time ago in high school, and I just revisited it not too long ago in your apartment. That's Ratatouille.
And actually, that was the first time I'd ever watched Ratatouille. Is when we.
Which I mean, you missed the beginning of it, but you caught the bulk of
Yeah.
it. You caught what the gist of it was.
We caught it about 15 minutes in.
Ratatouille is very good.
Yeah, it's very good. I liked it a lot.
It's
actually.
very good. It's not like an emotional juggernaut, but it has like one scene that's
Yeah.
that it, depending on who you are, it could really connect with you. I think it's a really good script, unique. It was funny. It looked great. Actually one of the better reviewed Pixar movies. It has like a 96 on Metacritic, super high. So obviously won Best Animated Feature. What was it up against?
It went up against a movie called Persepolis.
Okay.
Persepolis.
Okay, yeah, I know what
We'll
that is.
go with that.
Yeah, I know what that is. Yeah.
Okay, and it was up against Surf's Up.
Yeah, Surf's Up. That's what I. So that was the era of like these like a penguin kind of movies because you had Happy
Penguin.
Feet. Surf's Up is kind of cool.
Penguin.
I really like Surf's Up. Has like it's filmed like a mockumentary but with animated characters.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. It has Shia LaBeouf playing a penguin.
Real quick side note. In 2003, Finding Nemo went up against Brother Bear and the triplets of Belleville.
Oh man, what a slaughter! What a slaughter!
Now in 2004, it had a bit of competition. The Incredibles did. It went up against Shark Tale and went up against Shrek 2.
Shrek 2. A lot of people like Shrek 2 more than Shrek
1.
I don't. I'm not one of those people.
I'm not either.
I'm just not.
either.
I can't do it.
No, can't do it.
Like it. Can't do it though. Moving on. 2008. So right now we're about to hit 2007 is when we start.
The domination.
We start
of
an
Pixar.
era of Pixar that's like, gosh, there's 4 movies in a row here that could be considered like maybe the best Pixar movies, which is just insane. But WALL-E came out in 2008. Didn't watch it for the first time until 2009 because I just heard so much good things from people my age, like 18, 19. They're like, dude, WALL-E is really good.
I've not watched WALL-E.
It's one of those movies that, to me, the bulk of it does not feel targeted towards kids. The first half of it is dialogueless because it's this robot that's on Earth to clean up post-apocalypse, like because people couldn't live on Earth.
That sounds very
People couldn't live on Earth.
depressing.
They couldn't live on Earth. Like they had to like go to like outer space. So it's Wall-E and this other robot, and they kind of like form a bond and a romance. And a lot of it's just them like making robot noises, but it's visually and thematically incredible. Now the second half, they go into space, and that's when the humans come in. A lot of people feel mixed about this part. Maybe I do to some extent, but I still think this is an incredible movie and a very good and emotional ending. Also won Best Animated
Of course it did.
winner, and it won Best Original. No, it didn't. I was looking at the wrong one, but it did win Best Animated Feature, and probably deservingly so.
Yeah.
What was it against?
It was against a movie called Bolt.
Oh, the John Travolta
the dog
Disney
movie, right?
with Miley Cyrus. And, yeah.
And Kung Fu Panda. The first Kung
Okay,
Fu
so yeah, we were to win.
Yeah.
Wall-E very sophisticated until maybe the third act.
Buddy, let me tell you something. This next year, stacked.
Dude.
When it comes to 2009.
Oh, I know. I already
and the
know.
Academy Awards.
I probably disagree with this winner. I probably disagree with the winner. So 2009, to continue the stride of like Pixar excellence, was Up. Up is a lot of people's favorite Pixar movie.
Yeah, it is a lot.
And I think it's because the first 8 minutes, which is just like probably the best first
setup.
It's the best opening sequence of a Pixar movie. It tells an entire story in those 10 minutes, and it's amazing. I don't think the rest of the movie lives up to that, but the rest of the movie is quite good.
Yeah.
but that first 10 minutes is so.
Oh, I've seen the first 10
It's
minutes.
so
and
emotional. Oh my gosh,
it will rip
it
your
caught me
heart
off
out.
guard when I
Yeah.
watched with an amazing score by Michael Giacchino, which won the Oscar that year. Like this is the kind of score that's so good that you still hear it frequently on TikTok. People using it as their sound on TikTok. But yeah, it won Best Original Score and Best Animated Feature, and it was one of 3 animated movies ever to get nominated for Best Picture.
And I bet I know the other 2. Toy Story 3 was nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah.
And oh god, Toy Story 4.
Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, okay.
92. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was a long time ago. But
Long
yeah,
time
those
ago.
are the 3.
Okay.
So yeah, what was up
Okay.
against?
Okay.
I know
we are
that
gonna have a conversation now.
we could have a little bit of a conversation about this one.
The Secret of Kells,
Yeah, I remember that.
The Princess and the Frog.
Okay.
Okay, now those 2.
Wait a minute. Did that come out? I guess that did come out in 2009, didn't it? Yeah, it did.
This is yeah. And then these 2 films could be argued, I think.
I know one of them.
Coraline
Yeah.
and Fantastic Mr.
So
Fox.
Fantastic Mr. Fox is my winner.
That would be my winner.
It's my winner. I think as a picture
Yeah.
overall, it's better. It maintains its momentum for
Yeah.
the majority of it, and it just feels a little bit more unique. Like that is
It feels a little more
unique,
unique, and it feels a lot more geared toward an adult than it does toward a child.
Honestly, I probably like Coraline more than Up also. I think as a complete package, it's just kind of. But Up has
Fantastic Mr. Fox is one of my favorite movies. So I mean,
it's when it comes to Wes Anderson movies, it's like my second favorite movie of his probably.
Speaking of Wes Anderson, real quick, the other day I was in Books A Million, and Wes Anderson actually has a book out about the art of his movies. Did
Really?
you know this?
Oh, that's cool. Like the cinematography,
Yeah,
and like the art direction
and,
stuff.
and it's in a pinkish purple book, like the Grand Budapest Hotel book.
That's cool.
I was going to take a picture of it and send it to you, and I just completely forgot when I saw it. If I see it again, I will send it to you because it looked really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. So anyway, but
So it's decided that Fantastic Mr. Fox
Should have won.
deserved to win.
Yes.
Even though
I agree.
To me, I remember at the time when the debate was coming out, and those nominees, because that was around the time that I really started to watch the Oscars.
Yeah.
And I was like, there is not a chance that Fantastic Mr. Fox was going to win, but I was rooting hard for it. I believe that also got nominated for Best Score, Fantastic Mr. Fox, because that was a really, really good score. But Up probably maybe deservingly won that score. That is an iconic score. Next year,
Buddy, we're
next year to close to. I'm going to tell you this stops the because the next Pixar movie is like but this ends that 4-film era where it's just like juggernaut after juggernaut, which is Toy Story 3. Obviously won Best Animated Feature because it was nominated for Best Picture that year.
Yeah.
And it won Best Original Song for We Belong Together, written by Randy Newman. It's funny that this was the Randy Newman song win, and not You've Got a Friend in Me. We Belong Together is good, but man, You've Got a Friend in Me. Toy Story 3, when that came out, it was a big deal. Just imagine if Toy Story 3 came out now, how much more money it would make. Because I believe it may be the 3rd highest grossing Pixar movie, if I'm not mistaken.
Did it not? It crossed
Crossed $1 billion.
I was going to say it crossed $1 billion.
It's one of the few Pixar movies to cross $1 billion.
Yeah.
I believe Toy Story 4 and The Incredibles 2 are definitely, and maybe Finding Dory. I'm not completely sure.
Its budget was $200 million. Of
course, yeah.
Its budget, it was completely shadowed by its box office because the box office was $1.067 billion.
Hey, this movie was a huge deal for us.
Oh, yeah.
Because the last Toy Story movie we got was 99 when we was a kid.
Yeah.
Now we're 20.
Yeah.
And we're kind of there with Andy.
Yeah. And man,
you know what? This is an incredible movie. I think that it's the closest thing to a 10 out of 10. It's not. But
I think from a emotional standpoint and growing with the 2 characters that it is 1A, 1B to the best Pixar film. I think this this movie, I think this movie and another movie that we talk about later is 1A, 1B as far as the best Pixar movie, period.
I think that it's the most emotional of the Toy Story movies. That ending is perfect. A lot of people are like, oh, I can't believe they would make anything after that. Well, to that I say, this was the end of this movie.
Right.
Anything else we see in the future, whatever else they do, is a different chapter. It's a new chapter. They're if they come out and rock it again.
We talked about that when we watched Toy Story 4, and we can talk about it again later.
Yeah.
If they stopped with 4, that is a good epilogue to
3.
To 3.
Yeah.
You don't have, and that's what I say about people. It's like, oh, they should have never made a sequel. They should have never made a sequel. You don't have to watch it.
Hey, if it's good,
it's like you don't have to watch
Yeah.
it. If you want your story to end with 1, 2, and 3, and then ignore 4, that's fine.
Yeah.
You don't have to. You do not have to accept 4 as part of your story.
But you
with
should.
the movie. Well, you should,
because it is quite good.
It's pretty good.
I think
It's pretty good. I like 3 better.
If I'm thinking of all 4 Toy Story movies, I think Toy Story 3 is the most flawed.
Really?
And this
Really?
this doesn't mean that I think it's the worst. But if I'm looking at it from a script standpoint,
Okay.
the script is very similar to 2. It's very
Sure.
very similar. Has a similar plot. Obviously, they're geniuses. So they find ways to ride around, like making it look different. Which is, at the time, this was probably like one of the best, if not one of the best, action movies of that time. Like the action in this movie is incredible. It's just got go. Like, what are they going to do? What are they going to do next? I don't know what's going to happen next. But there is some comedy here, specifically with like the Ken doll, that almost feels below Toy Story, and that's just me. That's just me.
I'll give you that.
It's the kind
I'll
of
give
humor
you
that I didn't see in any Toy Story movie before that, and I didn't see it in any one after that.
But I mean, okay, but
it's still a 10 out of 10 movie, and I'm not going to say it's the.
I mean,
because that emotion delivers so hard that I just have a hard time saying that it's the worst.
I love Keanu Reeves, but Duke Kaboom.
Duke Kaboom's great, Josh. What are you talking about?
It's great, but
no, there's a specific element to the Ken doll and the humor that I don't know. They made some jokes there that I was like, oh, that's below Pixar, especially when he's like trying on the different clothes and stuff like that. And I don't know. I didn't love it, but I did like Michael Keaton as the Ken doll. Like, I thought that there was some very funny stuff, but there was maybe like 1 or 2 jokes I was like, okay, these jokes don't land, and that's not common for Toy Story. But I still give the movie a 10 out of 10. See, I don't want people to think that
I think it's the best.
I love the Toy Story franchise.
Still think it's the best.
But I have to. Sometimes I gotta rag on the thing that some people think is the best. Sometimes I gotta bring people down a little bit.
Of course you do.
We can move on.
Of course you do.
Toy Story 3 was groundbreaking at the time. Even my grandma went to go watch it in theaters, which is saying something.
So we're back to 3 films being nominated. It was Toy Story 3, How to Train Your Dragon, and The Illusionist.
I remember it was a big deal that year that a lot of people kind of thought How to Train Your Dragon should have won, and which I strongly disagree with. Don't think it's as good as Toy Story 3. Just not. Toy Story 3 was literally nominated for Best Picture that year.
Yeah, agree.
But now we stop.
We come to a screeching freaking halt.
I have not watched this movie in full. I've just watched pieces of it, because whenever a movie ends up being Pixar's lowest rated movie, I just don't have much of a desire, and it is, and that's
Cars 2.
Cars 2 came out in 2011. Had an average critic rating of a 5.6 out of 10, and it is the only certified rotten movie on Rotten Tomatoes from Pixar with a 39%. Doesn't mean that it had a 3.9 out of. It had a 5.6 average, which is almost on the cusp. But yeah,
there are just some movies that do not need a sequel.
I hear Cars 3 is good. Cars 3 is one of the ones I haven't seen, though. So.
I haven't seen Cars 3 either.
I haven't seen
but
it. Yeah.
There's just some movies that don't need a sequel.
This was outside of the Toy Story franchise, this was the first Pixar movie to have a sequel, the Cars franchise. And,
sure.
I mean, Toy Story knocked that out of the park 3 times, and maybe they thought they'd have that success again. And they honestly, if I'm being totally honest with you, they haven't had that success with any of their other franchises in Pixar. No. It just seems to be Toy Story. Yeah. I don't have much to say about it, because I just don't. I've watched like parts of it. It's the lowest rated movie. I mean, I don't really have much desire to watch that. Yeah. I don't want to taint how I view Pixar by watching this movie that's clearly just about Larry the Cable Guy's character, from what I understand. I'm like, I'd rather watch the Owen Wilson Cars movie. So,
well, I tell you what, that year. What year did that come out?
It didn't get nominated. Sure.
No. What year was
2011, so it would have been 2012.
Okay, the 2012 Oscars, real quick, just since we're
Rango
going
won that year.
No, Rango won in 2011. 2012 was Brave.
Okay, Brave came out in 2012. So now Rango came out in 2011.
Yeah. So Rango came out in 2011.
Okay.
Against Rango was A Cat in Paris, Chico and Rita, Kung Fu Panda 2, and Puss in Boots.
It was a weak year, admittedly.
Yeah.
But Rango is great. Moving on to the next year, 2012. Another Pixar movie that I've not seen, Brave. I believe this was a kind of a big hit when it came out. Just never
Won an Oscar.
just never watched it because if I'm not mistaken, it is another one of those Pixar movies that dipped under the 80 percentile on Rotten Tomatoes. So that kind of just put me off for some reason because I'm just used to like 95, 96, 90, 98, 100. And I just didn't watch it. But it did win Best Animated Feature that year. And it should not have.
No.
It should not have. Like,
Nope.
I even have like notes here like, no way. It should not have. Like, I haven't seen Brave, but I know good and well it's not as good as Wreck-It Ralph or Paranorman. Like,
Frankenweenie was nominated too.
I didn't watch Frankenweenie. I heard it was good.
Yeah.
That's stop motion too, isn't it?
Yep. Yep.
So 2 stop motion movies that year, Paranorman and Frankenweenie. Yet again, that may sound stupid because I did not watch Brave, but Wreck-It Ralph. How many people you see talking about Brave now? But Wreck-It Ralph. Wreck-It Ralph has a sequel, okay? Paranorman does not, because it probably just like all other Leica movies probably did miserable in the box office, but it's great.
Paranorman is probably the highest grossing Leica film, I bet.
Coraline probably.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, okay.
I feel like Coraline was kind of a hit.
So Paranorman made its money back, by the way.
But what does that mean?
And by that I mean its budget was $60 million and it made $107 million.
That's not great.
It's not great.
No.
Not great at all.
No, not great.
But
Not great. But that checks out for Leica.
Yeah.
They're gonna keep making really good movies that just are financially not great.
yeah, unfortunately, which
Moving on though, the next year, 2013. So right now we're hitting a stride here of lower tier Pixar movies. Obviously, I haven't seen 2 of them, but I'm just judging by what other people think. So between Cars 2, Brave, and we have Monsters University next. Monsters University is a prequel to Monsters Inc. It's fun. It's fine. It is not Monsters Inc. by any stretch of the imagination.
I would have.
Oh yeah,
Excuse
it's
me,
not.
I would assume.
I assume that you haven't seen this one. Yeah, not great.
It came out in the year of what?
2013.
And what else came out in 2013 that
Frozen.
was a firestorm?
Frozen, which won the animated feature that year. It probably deserved it. I don't remember what it was up against, but it probably deserved it.
The Croods, Despicable Me 2, Ernest and Celestine, I don't know.
Yeah.
And The Wind Rises.
Okay.
Whatever that is.
Okay, so I haven't seen
Any of those.
No, man. I've seen Frozen, but Monsters University wasn't nominated. Was
No.
it? Okay.
No.
No
No way.
What we wanted, fans of Monsters Inc., what we wanted was a legitimate sequel to Monsters Inc. Because you could do it. I know they've made that Disney Plus series, which isn't necessarily about the main characters, but it takes place after Monsters Inc. I never watched it. I just didn't have much of a desire because I still want just a legitimate sequel. But University is fine. It's a fun little prequel. It is one of the lower Pixar movies for me. Moving on, had a year off in 2014. No movie came out, but they came out in 2015 with an absolute banger. If you're gonna come back after a dry spell of movies, this is the one to come back to.
Finding Dory.
Yes. No, Inside Out. And this was the first year ever where Pixar released 2 movies in one year. This and The Good Dinosaur. And believe it or not, The Good Dinosaur is the one I was looking forward to the most. But when Inside Out came out that summer, and I watched it, I was blown away by that movie. Did we watch that in theaters?
We did.
So I watched it twice in theaters. I watched it twice because I was like, I have to watch this again. Because this is like, at the time, I was like, this feels life-altering.
And this is my 1B movie that I was talking about.
What is it?
Inside Out.
1B.
Is my
So this in
1B.
Toy Story 3?
Toy Story is 1.
Yeah, I get that.
If Toy Story 3 is 1A, Inside Out is 1B.
Inside Out is incredible. It's my second favorite.
I have only cried in 2 Pixar movies. And those were the 2
Must be
movies.
nice. I cried on all of them.
Okay, 3 movies. There's another movie we're going to talk about later.
I cried like.
There's another movie we're going to talk about later. I just forgot about it.
So, just quick aside from that. In retrospect, I do cry in Toy Story 1. I just do. I probably did. I definitely didn't cry at the time. I do now.
Not at the time.
I do now because when it comes to existentialism, it kind of hits hard. So, Toy Story, I cry. Toy Story 2, I cry. Monsters Inc., I cry. Finding Nemo, I cry. Depending on how I'm feeling during Ratatouille, I could cry, but I didn't. WALL-E makes me cry. Up makes me cry. Toy Story 3 makes me cry. Inside Out makes me cry. So that's quite a few right there. So that is the Pixar formula. It's gonna make you cry.
Yeah.
Until they release
At some point.
Cars 2 and Monsters University. But Inside Out is incredible.
I love that movie.
Won Best Animated Feature.
Yep.
We're gonna get a sequel, which I felt mixed about at first, but maybe they'll break that sequel curse with franchises outside of Toy Story. If they're gonna do it with one, it'll be this one. This was an incredible movie, almost like perfectly reviewed. I think it has maybe the second highest Rotten Tomatoes score. Like it had like an 8.9 out of 10 average, which is just a wholly unique movie. Like brilliant. It's a brilliant movie.
It's literally about growing up.
If I'm not mistaken, it did not get nominated for Best Original Screenplay that year, which is crazy.
It's insane to me.
It's crazy, but
that is insane.
Luckily, I believe Ex Machina did get nominated that year for Best Original Screenplay, which, I mean, that kind of makes up for it a little bit, but not really. Nominate both of them. Nominate the two original movies.
Give them to all. Give them to all of them.
But the other 2015 movie was The Good Dinosaur. Just judging by the trailer, I was like, The Good Dinosaur is going to be incredible.
And it wasn't.
It's okay. It's okay. It's weird because I like it more than what people say. It also dipped into the 70 percentage of on Rotten Tomatoes, which is like, I was like, oh man, that sucks. Like, it's one of the few to do that. But I do think that the emotion in this movie does hit. I think the problem with this movie is that, like, the landscape CGI and how it just looks so like photorealistic.
Yeah,
you got these characters that look very cartoonish, and maybe it's not a good blend.
Yeah, it's a good
and a lot of people.
A lot of people clash of styles.
A lot of people were very turned off by that.
Yeah.
But I watched this in theaters. Obviously, did not like it nearly as much as Inside Out, and I think at the time, one of the only Pixar movies that would have been considered a box office bust. Didn't make that much money. I believe it made over its budget, but that's still not that great.
Yeah.
Moving on, 2016, we have Finding Dory, which we watched in theaters together.
We did.
Without you seeing Finding Nemo, so I don't know if you were lost or not. I don't know if you...
Not really. Not really.
Finding Dory is okay.
It's not terrible.
I think that the first parts of it were really good. I think the emotion hits right off the bat, sort of like Up, but not nearly to that height of Up. Because you have Dory as a small child, and I don't know, there's just something about that just makes it emotional. It's almost emotionally manipulative to some extent.
It is.
The movie...
Most of the Pixar movies are emotionally manipulative. Come on.
But this is especially because it's about someone who has, like, they can't remember stuff. So, like, that's just...
She has a disability.
That's just torture. But this movie gets really wild at the end, like the fish are driving cars and stuff, like the octopus. But I remember the octopus in this movie was the design of it was really cool, and but I don't remember this movie that well. I've only seen it the one time in theaters. I guess that just goes to show it didn't necessarily grab on to me all that much, and it also was not nominated for Best Animated Feature, despite it getting like a 92 or 93 on Rotten Tomatoes, which I found to be a little high.
But you know what was?
2016, Kubo and the Two Strings.
And
you did not win, though.
Zootopia.
Zootopia won it that year. Still think Kubo should have won, though.
I do, too.
I do like Zootopia, though.
Kubo's so good.
It's a masterpiece.
So good.
So moving on to one of the three Pixar movies that I haven't seen, Cars 3. Didn't watch it. Just didn't. And I was working at a theater at the time, and I could have watched it any time.
Yeah.
But I just didn't, because I didn't see Cars 2. Not sure if it would have mattered. Man, I'd only seen parts of Cars 2. I think this one got back on critics' good side somewhat. I think it got like a 70 on Rotten Tomatoes or something like that. I don't know. Don't have much to say. I just vaguely remember. I don't even remember what the movie was about. I remember seeing the trailers, like, oh, this is going to be a good final, like some good closure for it.
And then they announced Cars 4.
So. That's not coming out, is it?
No, God, no.
I think they need to wrap that up. I think because it's not that well beloved of a franchise. So. But
it sells toys.
In 2017 was another year where we had two Pixar movies, and this continues the pattern of having one amazing Pixar movie and one that's maybe people didn't like this one, but the next one was Coco, which definitely caught me by surprise.
Yeah,
another one that I wasn't expecting much out of. Coco is very good.
Yeah.
Yet again, another Pixar movie that definitely makes me cry. Holy cow! Actually, I think. If you catch Coco on the right day, it may be the saddest Pixar movie.
Yeah,
like,
I actually just forgot about Coco. Like, and while we were looking here, I was like, "Oh wait, no, Coco."
Coco. I think because it almost doesn't feel like it feels like a Disney movie.
It does,
but it definitely hits you with that Pixar emotion.
Yeah,
holy cow! And you know what? It has a really good story and a really good twist. I don't know. It's so good.
And the music's fantastic in it too.
That's what I was about to say.
The
So
music
it won,
is so good.
It won Best Animated Feature that
Yep.
year, and it won Best Original Song for "Remember Me,"
Yep.
which was written by Kristen Anderson Lopez and Robert Lopez. "Remember Me" is just it's so weird whenever you hear something at a different tempo, because whenever
Yep.
they play "Remember Me" at the beginning and it's like
Yep.
fast paced.
Yep.
But man, when you slow that bad boy down on
know,
acoustic
dude.
guitar,
Yep.
gosh, that movie,
Yep.
that song is like one of the saddest songs
Yeah.
ever.
It's all
Holy
about
cow.
the context. It's all about the context.
So 2 times where they sing that movie, it makes me cry.
Yep.
In the flashback of the
Yeah.
dead character singing
Yep.
it to his daughter, and at the end,
very
at the
end.
end when he's
The
singing
very
it
end.
to Coco,
Yep.
and Coco, oh gosh,
Jesus. Oh my
oh
God.
no, Coco.
Whew.
Coco's great though. The only thing bad about Coco is it had that awful Frozen quote unquote short before it that was 20 minutes long.
Yeah. What was?
Frozen's like Olaf's Frozen.
Oh yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
God, it's terrible.
It's like 20 minutes. It's like 20 plus
It's-
minutes. I remember
yeah.
the second time I watched it, I left the theater and went to the lobby because I knew what to expect. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm not going to watch this again.
I
Like,
think-
how dare they do this to Coco?
I think you and I went on your second watch.
yeah, and I left.
And no. I think you and I think we both hung out in the lobby because you're like, hey, they're showing that
Oh,
Frozen.
we did.
Yeah,
So the
'cause
first
we were
time
like,
I
we're showing that Frozen
I watched
thing.
with
We're
my
not-
dad,
we're
and I
not
was like,
doing that.
Dad, I'm so sorry we got to sit through this.
And I was,
So I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
But that is literally, that's the only problem I have with Coco. It's not Coco's fault. It's
No.
just Disney Pixar's fault.
Yeah.
Next, moving on, 2018, we have The Incredibles 2, a highly anticipated sequel to the first one. I watched this in theaters. I believe at like a midnight screening at the time because I was working there, and I was watching it with a bunch of like ushers that were probably very small kids when the first one came out, so they were extremely excited about this.
Yeah.
And I was 14 when the first one came out. It's the highest grossing Pixar movie. I know a lot of people don't talk about it, but it
makes sense.
it made $1.2 billion.
That makes sense.
It's the highest grossing, and that's so weird because it's nobody talks about it,
Yeah.
and I don't talk about it, which means that I don't remember it. I just don't remember it that
I
much.
tell you why it's the highest grossing. I tell you why. Because it came out in 2018. What else? What arguably is at its peak in 2018?
Infinity War came out in 2018.
So the superhero thing, like you said, people our age,
Yeah,
we were how old when it came out? When the first
14.
Incredibles? 14. So we're going how many years later? 14 years later?
14 years later.
So 14 years later, we're 28.
Yeah,
A lot of the people that had saw that movie probably have got families of their own now.
yeah.
So
Well, here's what. If I'm going to compare it to another franchise, I'm going to compare it to Toy Story, the Toy Story
Okay.
franchise.
Okay.
Because that movie came out when we were 5.
okay,
And a lot of people probably viewed The Incredibles like that when in 2014 when they were 6 or 7. So
Sure.
this was their Toy Story 2 or Toy Story 3. When
Sure.
The Incredibles 2 came out.
Sure.
Listen, I'll go and tell you, it's nowhere close to as good as that. I don't care how old you are when the movie came out. It doesn't necessarily hold up narratively. I remember at the time thinking that it was the best looking Pixar movie. I thought the animation, like year after year, every new Pixar movie is probably going to have the best animation of
Sure.
any Pixar movie.
Sure.
But yeah, I just do not remember it. Was that one nominated for best animated feature?
it was.
It didn't win though.
God no. It
came
was
out-
up against Spider-Man in the
Oh yeah,
Spider-Verse.
yeah, it did not. So that is
No,
that is the much
nowhere
superior.
close.
That was what a year for superhero movies.
So
Wow.
so it went up against Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Isle of Dogs,
Ooh yeah.
I don't even know what this one is. Miari,
Okay.
anime movie.
Yeah, yeah.
And Ralph Breaks the Internet. So Wreck-It Ralph 2.
Okay. Incredibles
So-
2 might have been the worst one out of those. So.
Yeah.
But it did
Very
make
possible.
it made the most though. Moving on to the fourth movie of the Toy Story franchise. Came out in 2019. Toy Story 4. A movie that a lot of people did not want to see, and regardless of what happened afterwards, when the movie got nearly just as good a reviews as the other one, a movie that a lot of people still feel weird and mixed about for whatever reason, because they latched on to Toy Story 3 so much that like they ruined Toy Story 3.
I know that when it was announced, I was like, why? Why are we doing this?
And I was like, trust the process.
Yeah. And we saw it, and even when it was over, I was like, I guess.
That
I was
is-
like, I looked at you and I said, that was an okay epilogue to what we watched. I was like, but that, I don't.
Josh, you are misremembering this so.
I am
See,
not.
No, we were in tears together watching this movie.
I know that,
We were like,
but-
oh my god. And then we reviewed it, and you know what we gave it? We gave it an A+.
I mean, sure. I'm sure we did.
That doesn't sound like an okay epilogue.
No, but it was. It's going back to what I was saying earlier.
It's a great follow-up. If you're going to follow up to Toy Story 3, this is the way to do it.
Sure.
To make it
That's what I
make
said.
it a Woody-centric story about...
And we're not going to talk about the end. Go watch it. Just go watch it.
The end gets me.
And,
It's not as strong emotionally as Toy Story 3, but for that was the right ending.
Sure.
I love this movie. Okay, this movie broke me. I'm not gonna lie, because I watched this movie. 2019 was an awful year for me. I watched Toy Story 4 that opening weekend. Mm-hmm. Let's say from Thursday to Tuesday. I watched it 3 times in theaters. I watched it 3 times in theaters, and not too long after that, I went to a depressive spell. Just a depressive and anxiety-induced spell for months, and I think Toy Story 4 caused a little bit of that. I'm not even gonna. Like, I think it sent me into a little bit of an existential crisis, which triggered a depressive response.
Okay,
I'm not gonna lie. And I was working night shift at the time, and that played a role too. My brain was just all messed up. And then watching a movie like this that I'm just so attached to its franchise. Mm-hmm. And, like, it made me feel so old. I was like, what am I doing? Like, everybody's going to die around. Like, everybody that I love is going to die one day. And I think the Toy Story movies kind of get that out of me sometimes. They were very deep movies.
Okay.
And I will defend this movie so much. Is it the weakest of the 4? Maybe, probably. I still think it's a 10 out of 10, though. I think it's just a perfect series. And I love it. And there's a new pattern online because there's going to be another Toy Story movie. Mm-hmm. People are like, oh, I hated Toy Story 4. So then I just sometimes I like to comment. Sometimes I like to really probably like, oh yeah, it's like everybody hated this movie. It made so many billions of dollars.
Yeah.
It has a 97 on Rotten Tomatoes. It has like a 92 audience score. Yeah, everybody just hated this movie.
Everybody hates the movie.
It was mostly a beloved movie, but you're gonna have some people to defer and be like, nah. But moving on to 2020, we have Onward. So, Onward came out.
I liked Onward.
I liked Onward too.
I
thought narratively it was odd at times. It was a very weird movie.
Yeah.
But I respected that, and I don't know. It didn't reach the highs of some of the greatest Pixar movies, but I did think that the emotion when it needed to, the most it landed. Like I think this one actually made me cry too. It was one of Toy Story 4.
It made me cry. I won't lie.
There's so many. Yeah. I mean, it is emotional.
That's the thing about Pixar, and we were talking about like crying, like movies that make us cry and things like that. Pixar will do that to you, but it's a different sort of. Pixar has these moments of movies that will make you cry in the moment.
Yeah.
But then there's Pixar movies that you can sit and think about, and you're like, man, that's sad, man. That is so sad.
Onward's one that makes me cry in the moment.
Yeah.
But I don't really ponder on it that much because I guess it wasn't that memorable. But Onward was dealt an awful hand. It came out precisely a week before the pandemic.
Yep.
So it is, unfortunately, the lowest grossing Pixar movie at $141.9 million.
Yep.
Came out like March 6th.
Yep.
And then March 13th,
the world
place was shut down.
Yep.
So that sucks for
that was
Onward.
literally the last movie we got to see.
It really started a string of Pixar that we had never seen before. After that, non-theatrical releases, and the first one was Soul. Came out later that year, I believe, on Christmas Day of 2020.
I think so.
Yeah. So I watched that one a bunch. I instantly
Soul was very good.
Instantly loved that one. It was the best
so good.
Best animated feature winner and best original score, which was done by Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross, and John Baptiste. Like I said, it was the first straight to Disney Plus release. It was an experimental time, I think, in the movie world because we were very unsure how any of this was going to affect theatrical releases, and it was just odd not seeing a Pixar movie in theaters because it
really was.
And it still hasn't got back to becoming a box office juggernaut because the only one we've had since then is Lightyear as a theatrical release, which we'll get to that. But Soul was great. Obviously, I would have much rather enjoyed seeing it on the big screen, but it just wasn't possible at the time. I wouldn't have went. I probably would not have went because we didn't go till maybe spring of 2021 was the first time we went back to watch
something like that.
A Quiet Place 2 or something like that. Loved Soul. Another one that definitely makes me cry. I'm so glad Soul didn't come out in 2019. It would have broke me even more because that is an incredibly existential movie.
Not to mention the fact that movie did also win Best Animated
That's what
Feature.
I said that. What was it against?
It was against Wolf Walkers, whatever that is.
It's probably an easy competition.
A Shaun the Sheep movie, Farmageddon.
It's like 100 on Rotten Tomatoes, if I'm not mistaken.
Does it?
Dude, those Shaun the Sheep movies get high scores.
Okay. A movie called Over the Moon.
I don't know.
And it actually went up against Onward.
I know. Onward got nominated.
Yep.
So yeah, it was kind of
They threw Onward a bone.
kind of
is
a
what
weak
they
year.
did.
2020 will be known as one of the weakest years in cinema, and it's
absolutely.
It's not the movie industry's fault.
No.
It's just the world's
No,
fault.
no, no.
Moving on to the next straight to Disney Plus release, Luca. This one's an oddball, I think, or it's sort of like the black sheep of, because visually does not look like a Pixar movie, which
No.
I appreciate.
No.
Visually, it's super unique. It has like almost a more cartoonish look to it. We watched this one together.
Yeah.
While I don't remember it all that well, at the moment I remember quite enjoying Luca. And
You
I
watched
think,
it a few
I
times.
think
Didn't
as a
you?
movie,
Watched it.
I just watched it the once.
Okay.
I think I did. Yeah. I think that as a strictly movie about friendship, there might have been a moment in that movie that got me too. There might have been like one little slight moment that was like, oh god.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe I just liked it because it was about a bicycle race, and this really
You all about those bicycles.
it really touched me.
Bicycles.
But as I was asking people about what their favorite animated movies are to get the bracket ready for our animation tournament, there were some Luca people out there. I was like, wow,
Really?
Luca's your favorite? I was like, oh wow, Luca's your favorite animated movie? That's cool.
Sure,
It is
that's
a
really cool, but
unique. It is a
that's
unique
so-
little ditty, you know. Yeah, I know.
Interesting.
Well, but I heard that and Onward. I was like, oh, those are really recent Pixar movies. So maybe they did connect with people more than we had initially thought. But the next one, which just came out last year, is Turning Red. Turning Red, out of all these, got screwed over the most.
I have not seen. It.
Turning Red is good. I think I was expecting a little bit more because it did get really good reviews. I think it got just as good reviews as Soul. But I think it didn't connect with me as much as I wanted it to. It's similar to Encanto. It has. It's almost about the same exact thing. And I actually like this a little bit more than Encanto because I thought it was the family trauma and stuff was dealt a little bit better. But this one should have definitely been released in theaters. I do not understand why Turning Red was not, because this came out in spring of 2022, if I'm not mistaken. And at that time, I mean, movies were coming out in theaters. I mean, like it was just a year ago. Like the Batman came out a year ago and did very, very well. I think maybe they were scared because Turning Red is a little bizarre. You know, it's about a teenage girl like becoming a woman.
Yeah, I think the problem was, like you said, I think they were afraid to bring that out.
Yeah.
I think if you would have, if Lightyear would have been ready by then, I think they would have released Lightyear.
They would have released Lightyear, no doubt,
in
theaters.
In theaters,
but in retrospect, maybe Lightyear should have been released to Disney Plus in that spring, and Turning Red should have been the theatrical release that summer.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Because it just, I don't know, it just drew more people in, and it Turning Red is nominated for Best Animated Feature this year.
Oh wow!
There's no winner yet. It hasn't happened. It's not gonna win. If we're being real, it's not. It's up against Pinocchio.
Yeah, and it's up against Puss in Boots and stuff as well. So
I mean, Puss in Boots is really catching on here recently.
Yeah, I mean,
but I think Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio is still gonna win. It's won everything.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think Turning Red got done a little bit dirty. But Lightyear also came out last year, and I liked Lightyear. I did. I thought the first 30 minutes was the strongest stuff about it.
Yeah.
That's where the Pixar emotion hits. Then after that, it's a pretty standard like sci-fi action movie. Nothing special. I think the funniest thing about Lightyear is just the uproar that it had along with it.
The controversy was better than the movie.
Between it having LGBTQ plus things in it, which so what?
Yeah.
And between people like, they recasted Tim Allen. I was like, no, they did not recast Tim Allen. This movie's about the actual Buzz Lightyear that was in the movie that was Andy's favorite movie in the mid-90s, which almost doesn't check out, if I'm being honest with you. I don't understand how that was Andy's favorite movie. But a lot of people just, comprehension just does not.
No.
Even Tim Allen was like, it's like, guys, like it's a different thing.
It's a different movie.
Whenever Tim Allen has to be the voice of reason, you're hurting.
Don't you talk about Tim Allen like that.
I'm sorry. He's Buzz Lightyear. I got to give him that. Okay. Yeah. But that is all the movies that we've seen from Pixar. Upcoming releases. We got one this year. Elemental. Have you seen the trailer to Elemental?
Maybe.
It's about the elements, but they're
Yeah,
humanoid.
yeah,
Kinda.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what it's about.
I'm getting
I don't know
some
if you've seen the
Inside Out.
trailer.
I'm getting some Inside Out vibes.
That's
and
what
some
I
Soul
thought.
vibes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that could be a great one.
I hope so.
2024, we have a movie called Elio. Elio. I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is.
And I put the wrong date here, but I think 2024 also. Inside Out 2 is supposed to come out next year. So fingers crossed.
Yeah.
I want another.
I want that really.
I want another
I want that to be
great
really
existential, emotional juggernaut.
Yeah.
But as we mentioned before,
So what do you think they do with Inside Out 2?
I don't
Do
know.
we go to a completely different person?
I don't know.
Or do we stay with the main character from the first one?
During the end credits of Inside Out, it shows other people inside other people's brains. It shows the mom, the dad,
Yep.
the boy that
Yep.
she's crushing on, or he's crushing on her, and it shows the dog.
Yep.
So I don't know. I think the possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
I just hope it's good.
Yeah.
Because the first
Yeah.
one is a perfect movie. As far as movies that don't have a release date necessarily, we talked about before, Toy Story 5.
Yeah.
Out of all the slates that I've seen where they're going to have movies released, it could be 2026. Could be. I think that's probably enough time. Maybe they would definitely need to write a good script for that one.
Yeah.
It would be a shame if they went 4 movies and decided that they're going to make one that if any Toy Story movie gets under a 90%, it is a failure on Rotten Tomatoes.
I agree.
Because they're all either 100,
I agree.
it's at 97% to 100%.
Yeah.
It's just been really, really consistent.
Yeah.
But yeah, we
agree.
might see that in 2026. I mean, I don't want to say sooner, better than later, but I don't want some 2030 release. I'm gonna be.
Oh God, no!
I'm gonna be nearing 40.
Yeah, that movie. They'll have to capitalize
Yeah.
on it sooner rather than later.
But
there's too much now.
Yeah.
There's just too much.
As we were talking about all the ones that won Best Animated Feature, it combined total of 11 Best Animated Feature wins at the Oscars out of 17 nominations. That is an incredible track record. Holy cow! With the Turning Red pending, which I said probably not going to win, but who knows? Who knows how the award circuit's going to go?
Yeah.
The last thing that I did, I crunched some numbers here because Pixar is just such a critical darling, as well as beloved by the audiences. And I wanted to put together a top 10 of what critics think. And some of the results may surprise us. Or surprise you, maybe not. Number 10, with a combined critic score of 8.4 out of 10. Across the board, it just seemed like 8.4 out of 10 is Toy Story 4 at number 10. At number 9, The Incredibles, with a combined score of 8.7 out of 10. So these are high scores.
Yeah.
These are very high scores. I know.
These are all B plus.
I know on Rotten Tomatoes it shows like 98, 99% or whatever, but these are the actual critic scores. Up at number 8, which is a little shocking. I thought that'd be a little higher, but that's at an 8.8 out of 10 because for some reason on Metacritic, that's one of the ones that dipped under a 90 on Metacritic, while these other ones, like this one got I think at 88 on Metacritic. At 7, Toy Story 2 with an 8.8 out of 10. Number 6, Finding Nemo with an 8.9 out of 10. 5, Wall-E with a 9.1 out of 10. So now we're getting into the. So whenever
we're getting into the meaty gritty.
Whenever
now.
you get over 9 out of 10, you're going into some of the greatest reviewed movies of all time.
Yeah.
Like The Godfather has like an average score of like a 9.6 out of 10 or something like that.
Yeah.
So number 4, Ratatouille, 9.1 out of 10. 3, Toy Story 3, 9.1 out of 10. Number 2, Inside Out, a 9.2 out of 10. And of course, number 1 is Toy Story with a 9.3 out of 10. Just incredible critic reviews. It's just crazy. Like these are just
there's so much.
But of course, whenever you dip into audiences, scores aren't as high. Audiences, believe it or not, are harsher than critics. I know that sounds crazy because a lot of people are like, the critics. It's the audiences that are prudes. They're prudes. But it is a little different for audiences though, because they have a few that they like a little bit more than what critics would have preferred. But at 10, Coco, 8.3 out of 10. 9, Monsters Inc., which was also not on there, 8.3 out of 10. 8, Ratatouille, 8.3 out of 10. 7, The Incredibles, 8.4 out of 10. 6, Finding Nemo, 8.4 out of 10. 5, Inside Out. That's low.
That is low.
8.4 out of 10.
Super low.
But here we go. Up is number 4 at 8.5 out of 10.
That checks out.
Here's where it gets interesting. 3, I think people just need to recheck themselves.
Okay.
And audiences need to rescore this movie and like revisit it. At 3, I have Toy Story at 8.5 out of 10.
Okay.
2, Wall-E, 8.6 out of 10.
Okay.
And
Number
number
one
1
is Toy Story 3.
Toy Story 3.
Yeah.
8.6
Yeah.
out of 10. So that's
not surprising.
I think Toy Story 3 is a lot of people's favorite Pixar movie.
Yeah.
Even though I prefer Toy Story, I totally understand the appeal of liking Toy
Yeah.
Story 3. And for some reason, Toy Story 2 and Toy Story 4 are sometimes the odd ones out. Maybe before Toy Story 4, a lot of people just discredited Toy Story 2 for some reason. But man, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, Toy Story 3 totally makes sense as a audience juggernaut. It was a big deal, and people still riding that emotional wave.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I have to say about Pixar. Anything else you want to add about Pixar?
Well, we talked about. I've already said what my 2 favorite Pixar movies were.
I think I have 2.
It is 3 and Inside Out. And what did you say that yours
Toy
was?
Story and Inside Out.
Okay,
So we both have Inside Out.
So we both have we both have Inside Out on there.
And at 3, I'd have like Toy Story 2 probably.
Probably
If I'm being
3.
honest with
3
you.
would probably be Toy Story for
And
me.
then I'd have Toy Story 3 in the top 5
Yeah.
somewhere. So
Yeah.
it's just with that top 10. When you're making a top 10 Pixar, they're all kind of 10 out of 10s.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of which one's the better 10
The
out of
thing,
10.
the thing of it is, it's one of those things where it's like somebody asks you like what your favorite like song is by a band.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Like, what's your favorite Beatles song?
what's your favorite Beatles song? Well, it depends on the day. Like
That's tough.
It's like
Yeah.
I could be absolutely oversaturated with a song, and the the overplayed factor comes into effect. Or
You could, yeah.
It's the same thing with Pixar. It's like any day you could watch a movie and be like, you know what, that movie was actually better than what I remember.
I might rewatch A Bug's Life and be like, you know what, this is top 3.
Exactly.
That's not gonna happen.
It's not going to happen.
It's not gonna happen. All right.
But yeah, I mean, I honestly, would you agree that the highest points of Pixar absolutely, without question, overshadowed the lowest points of Pixar?
Yeah, there's more. There's definitely more.
There's
good
definitely
than,
more.
than the average.
Would you say that if Pixar continues their streak of having some of the best animated movies of all time, that it might at some point overshadow Disney?
I mean, I like Pixar more than Disney. I think that the top 10 to 12 Pixar movies, I would take over the top 10 Disney movies. I just would. Now, while I like Beauty and the Beast maybe more than the bulk of, I like most of these Pixar movies more than The Lion King or Aladdin and Pinocchio or The Little Mermaid. I just do. I just think that thematically the movies are a little stronger than the Disney movies. I don't care if they don't make as much money. I think that they're better, and maybe other people will see that. Hopefully, they can get back on track with Elemental this year. Hopefully, that's great.
Yeah,
that'll be a good sign of us moving back. It's a shame that Soul had to get released on Disney Plus because maybe a lot of people didn't watch it, even though it's right there at your house for $7. Yeah.
Well, Caleb, so. I guess we'll wrap up Pixar. It's time for our topic for next week. I hope that it's good. I hope that it is good.
Me too. Hate to have to redraw.
No, there's no redraws. There's no redraws. We just talk about it.
Please be good. Please be good. Oh no.
Oh God. And it is
movie trivia contest.
Oh God.
I don't know.
Well, so Nancy's gonna have some homework to do.
Josh is gonna cheat.
I'm not gonna cheat. I'm not gonna cheat. Nancy could just go find that. So we're gonna play us a little game next week.
Some fun stuff.
Some little fun stuff.
That's another competition kind of episode.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. Caleb, where can people find us?
You can find us on Facebook by typing in our name, Chat from a Hat, as well as Instagram and Twitter and on YouTube. I don't know our email. So what's our email?
Our email is chatfromahatcast
at
gmail.com.
Yeah.
You know what? We usually don't say this, but share this with your friends. Tell people that there's this cool little podcast of just two people talking.
They talk about Pixar.
Talking about Pixar and movies and music. And, we do appreciate everybody that has listened so far. We will be continuing this down the road, as many of you already know. So, Caleb, sign us off.
Thanks for listening to us. This was a very fun episode. I hope you enjoyed it as well. I am Caleb Luther.
And I am Josh Brown.
And thank you for listening.